Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you've given us a really fascinating puzzle.
Hmm.
It's a collection of insights into the ancient city of David in Jerusalem, almost like, notes pieced together from different parts of an archaeological adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
So, our goal is to take these pieces, mentions of tours, ongoing digs, specific finds like coins, buildings, and sort of assemble them for you.
Right. To bring into focus some of the key discoveries and the constant work happening in this incredibly rich historical area.
It is. And
Yeah.
we have these intriguing snippets, like you said, touching on visitor experiences, what archaeologists are finding right now, and even how guides see things.
It's a really interesting mix of perspectives you've pulled together.
It gives us a fantastic starting point. We're going to explore some specific spots mentioned. This Yeovil Street that's mostly unseen,
Right.
the expensive street people walk on now, and the wealth of finds from the Javadi parking lot digs.
And the tunnels and water systems, too.
Oh yeah, can't forget those. The mission is really to pull out the most compelling bits and connect them, giving a real sense of the history layered right there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with this secret Yeovil Street. What's the story there? Sounds intriguing.
Well, what's really interesting, based on these notes, is that there's this street almost completely excavated,
Yeah.
but it's sitting above the current drainage channel system that the tours actually use.
So wait, people are walking through these tunnels,
Yeah, what feels like tunnels.
and there's a whole other street right above their heads.
Pretty much another layer of the ancient city, just hidden for now.
And the people working there, they call it Yeovil.
Seems so. It's an informal name, apparently, used on site.
Okay, now here's where it gets interesting for, someone wanting that behind the scenes look. Access is super limited.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Unless you're, say, a donor to the ELAD organization, or maybe a guide with some very wealthy clients,
Right.
you're probably not getting onto Yeovil Street just yet. It's a sneak peek most don't get.
That definitely raises questions about access, but focusing on the archaeology, what have they actually found there already?
Well, the notes mention some pretty significant things. A tribunal, for instance.
A tribunal, like a court or public space?
Possibly, yeah. A place for legal stuff or announcements, plus coins, inscriptions, even remains of shops along the street.
Wow, so you can almost picture it bustling back then.
Exactly. Commerce, justice, people milling about. And the fact that it's preserved above that later drain system is pretty remarkable.
And for the rest of us, any chance of seeing it eventually?
The notes suggest maybe anticipated public opening in about, 10 years from now, so around 2035.
Okay, 2035, something to keep an eye on for a future trip, definitely.
It just shows archaeology is slow work.
Yeah.
Discovery, then conservation, then making it accessible. It takes time.
Absolutely. It's that insider knowledge, knowing what's coming down the pipeline. Okay, let's shift to the expensive street. That's what one source called it, the one visitors are walking on.
Right. This is the wide paved street near the Temple Mount area.
Uh-huh.
And the walk, it's important to note, isn't totally flat. There are stairs because the road follows the valley's natural slope.
So you're feeling the original landscape as you walk.
You are. And that channel underneath, sometimes called a sewer, it's really more of a runoff drain.
Ah, for rainwater, not
Waste.
correct. Designed to channel rainwater away. Ancient sanitation was often about managing water flow effectively.
Makes sense. Sophisticated, really.
It was. And fascinatingly, from inside that drain, you can apparently see manholes looking up towards that Yeovil Street level we just talked about.
Wow, a literal connection between the layers.
Mm-hmm.
And this expensive street itself finds there too. Coins.
Yes, half-shekel coins, but specifically Roman silver tetradrachmas.
And what's special about those? Their purity. The notes mention rabbinic tradition held that only silver from Tyre was pure enough for certain temple contributions.
Ah, okay.
And these Roman coins, minted in Tyre, fit the bill. So finding them there links Roman rule directly to Jewish religious practice at the time.
That's a fantastic detail. Okay, let's move over to the Javadi parking lot excavations. Sounds like a real hotspot lately.
It is. The name itself, Javadi, sadly comes from a grenade attack in the 80s. A modern layer on an ancient site.
Right.
But now it's owned by the ELAD Foundation, and they have big plans. The Kedem Center, a major new entrance complex for the city of David.
So this parking lot is actually a major dig site, mostly active in the last, 20 years or so?
That's right. And what's key is that this specific area hadn't seen massive excavation before.
I mean, the layers were mostly undisturbed.
Exactly, which is gold for archaeologists. It gives a much clearer picture, less jumbled than some other spots might be.
And the finds reflect that clarity.
Absolutely. They've uncovered a Byzantine street, even a whole Byzantine house. Gives you a real feel for life back then.
Uh-huh.
But then, get this, a hoard of 364 gold coins. Byzantine gold.
364, wow.
Yeah, minted around 611 CE. The thinking is they were probably hidden during the Persian conquest around 614 CE.
Imagine burying that much wealth, hoping to come back for it.
It's a powerful glimpse into the fear and chaos of that invasion. It tells a very human story.
And that's just the Byzantine layer. What's underneath?
Underneath that, a Roman villa, and apparently a really impressive one.
No kidding.
Described as potentially the nicest residential building in Jerusalem at the time. Paris-style design, the columned courtyard.
Right.
And it would have great views over the valley. It kind of challenges assumptions about where the wealthy lived.
Definitely. And anything found in the villa.
Jewelry. Which is interesting because the style suggests it was maybe kept as an heirloom for about a century after it was first fashionable.
Like finding your grandmother's vintage brooch. A personal connection across generations.
Precisely. It brings the human element right to the forefront.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? Deeper still.
Deeper still. Below the Roman level, they've found parts of a large Hasmonean building.
Wow.
And even deeper, Persian period pottery and coins. It's just layer after layer after layer.
Persian, Hasmonean, Roman, Byzantine, all stacked up. Incredible.
It's incredibly valuable for understanding how the city grew and changed over millennia, all in one spot.
And there's an ongoing search there, too, isn't there, for the Western Wall?
Yes, but specifically the western wall of the original city of David, not the Temple Mount's western wall.
Ah, the earlier city boundary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding that would be huge. It would help redraw the map of Jerusalem in the First Temple period.
That would be monumental. Okay, let's move underground now to the tunnels and water systems mentioned.
Right. The notes talk about a tunnel running from near the Pool of Siloam up towards the Temple Mount area.
Huh.
And it runs underneath that second Temple Pay street we discussed earlier, the expensive street.
Yeah.
There's even talk of potentially extending this tunnel eventually, maybe reaching the corner of the Temple Mount itself.
Imagine walking that route underground.
It would be a unique perspective. But maybe even more significant, archaeologically speaking, is another find nearby.
What's that?
Steps leading down from the second temple level to a first temple period public cistern.
A first temple public building.
Yes. Described as the only known public building directly linked to the first temple period. That's a major find for understanding early Jerusalem.
Invaluable, surely. Access to water was everything, and a public one suggests community infrastructure.
Precisely. It tells us about resource management back then, though access now is restricted.
Safety concerns, I imagine.
Seems so. It's not on the regular tourist path, but the discovery itself adds a huge piece to the puzzle.
Even if we can't see it, knowing it's there changes the picture. Okay, now let's focus on the area right by the Temple Mount, along that second temple street heading to Siloam. What came up there?
Well, the street itself is significant, obviously, but along it they found Roman-era features, like a large archway.
An archway, like a bridge.
That was the initial thought, yeah. A bridge connecting the Temple Mount, maybe to the upper city.
Yeah.
But further digging suggested something else.
Ah.
It seems more likely part of a large stairwell complex, possibly connected to the royal stoa.
Herod's massive basilica on the south side of the Temple Mount.
That's the one. So not a bridge, but a grand staircase, a major access route. Shows how interpretations evolve with more data.
Definitely. Archaeology in action. But the finds from after the temple's destruction in the 70 CE sounded particularly evocative.
They really are. A Roman sword, for instance.
Wow.
Right.
Possibly belonging to a soldier involved in the siege?
Could be. Maybe an officer. Is a very direct, stark reminder of that conflict.
A tangible link to that moment. And what else?
A stone carving, clearly showing a menorah.
The 7-branch candelabrum. Finding that image near the Temple Mount.
It's significant. Depictions from that era aren't super common, and finding one there reinforces its deep connection to the temple, even after the destruction, perhaps reflecting efforts to maintain identity.
And the most intriguing one, a tiny gold bead. Possibly a bell?
Yes. The notes connect this to the description in Exodus of the high priest's robe having bells on its hem.
Could it actually be one of those bells? From the high priest's garments?
It's impossible to say for sure, of course, but finding a small gold bell in that location from that period It's tantalizing.
It absolutely sparks the imagination. A tiny object potentially holding immense history.
It really does. A possible link to the temple's rituals and treasures.
Makes you think. Now, just briefly, how do archaeologists figure out the age of something like that Second Temple Street?
It's usually a combination of things. Written sources give context, but physical evidence is key. Coins are often crucial.
Right. The notes mention coins found under the paving stones.
Exactly. They found coins dating up to the time of Pontius Pilate.
So the street had to be built after those coins went out of circulation, or at least after they were dropped there.
Precisely. Which points to the street being built later, probably under Agrippa Lead in the 40 CE, not Herod the Great initially.
Shows the city was constantly evolving, even then.
Continuous
And
development.
then there's something about a layer of dirt found under fallen stones.
Yes, that layer of dirt found on the street, but under the destruction debris.
What does that signify?
It suggests a period probably after the revolt started in 66 CE, when normal life, including street cleaning, just stopped.
Ah,
The city was under stress, heading towards the siege and destruction in 70 CE. That dirt layer is like a snapshot of the breakdown.
a very poignant detail. So bringing this all together,
Yeah,
from the exclusive Yeovil Street and its potential to the layers in Javati with Byzantine gold and that Roman villa, plus the finds near the Temple Mount, the sword, the menorah, that possible bell,
yeah,
it paints an incredibly complex picture.
it really does.
Hopefully for our listener, this gives a deeper understanding of some very specific finds in the city of David, spanning so many periods. Roman villas, First Temple cisterns, Byzantine hoards.
We hope this deep dive into these specific aspects has provided those aha moments, giving richer context to the sources you shared without being overwhelming.
Absolutely. It shows the incredible density of history packed into that one small area.
Truly remarkable.
And it makes you think, doesn't it, about all those layers of time and human lives. You know, considering everything, the potential of Yeovil Street, the heirlooms in the villa, the links to the temple destruction. What single discovery, or maybe potential future discovery, in the city of David do you find the most captivating? And what might it really tell us about life back then?
That's a tough question.
It is. It's something for all of us to ponder, really. This ongoing exploration just invites us to stay curious about the stories the ground still holds. Thanks for diving deep with us.